Hey guys, Dantix here, bringing you some fresh off the presses information on crossplay and split screen capability of the up and coming game Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, as well as news on the endgame and DLCs. First, let's talk about crossplay. As recently revealed, Wonderlands will support crossplay between Xbox Series S and X, Xbox One, PlayStation 5, 4, and PC via the Epic Games Store. It'll arrive on other platforms later in 2022, so if you're planning on buying on Epic, use my creator code DantixOfficial as it helps the channel out a lot. Wonderlands is fun solo, but co-op adds another dimension. With crossplay enabled, it'll be easier than ever to play with your friends. I know mine are across all PlayStations and Xboxes and PCs, so this will be the first time we can play a Gearbox game all together. Speaking of all together, for the first time in what seems like decades, a game has split screen capability. If you're playing on console, you can play together with friends on the same system. Takes me back to the good old days where friends would sleep over and we'd game until the light peeks through our windows. So PS5 and Xbox Series X and S can play locally up to 4 players, while PS4 and Xbox One support 2-player split screen. All consoles allowing you to choose between horizontal and vertical splits. Gearbox are really trying to give us all the tools we need to play with friends, and this game definitely is amazing to play with friends. Now, many of you are wondering what specs you'll need to run Wonderlands. Up on screen now is the minimum and the recommended requirements. As you can see, it doesn't need an incredibly powerful PC. Just make sure you have at least 75GB available. So what does the Season Pass get you? Similar to other Gearbox Season Passes, it gives you access to all planned DLC. You can buy these separately when they drop, so don't feel at all pressured to invest in these passes early. But what is planned so far? Well, 4 content drops. Each takes you to a strange new area through the Mirror of Mystery. After each new content pack drops, a more powerful version of the final boss becomes available each week. Defeat it and you'll unlock the next hardest level until you finally reach its final form. And the harder the fight, the better the loot. It's an ongoing challenge. Each time you successfully vanquish a boss's increasingly powerful forms, you'll earn lost souls that let you spin the Wheel of Fate. With each spin, you'll be rewarded with a new legendary weapon or gear, as well as unique cosmetics. Cosmetics being far more impactful in Wonderlands as you build your own custom character. Furthermore, if you finish a content pack, its levels and boss will be added to the pool of possibilities in the Chaos Chamber, which is an endlessly replayable endgame of Wonderlands. I'll talk more about the Chaos Chamber soon. The 4th content pack will also introduce a 7th class to the roster of 6 classes that you can mix and match between in the base game, with its own class feat, 2 action skills, and a unique skill tree to play with. A 7th class will mix up builds potentials through multi-class possibilities for those who get bored very quickly of old classes and combinations. Finally, in the Season Pass you'll get access to the Butt Stallion pack, which includes Diamond Guard armor presets, the Crystal Glitter makeup pack, the Adamant Thorn banner set, and the Diamond Hero statue material, which doesn't excite me much, but fair enough if that puts you over the line. Alright, I mentioned the Chaos Chamber before, but what is it? It's an ever-shifting portal into a randomized dungeon full of unique variables, strong enemies, and methods to make your run more or less challenging depending on how brave you're feeling. Should you prove victorious, your rewards will be huge, but no matter how prepared you think you are, there's really no telling what you'll encounter when you step out into a portal opened by a gigantic crystalline D20 in the sky. At the most basic, a normal Chaos Chamber run is a randomized challenge that should take around 20 to 30 minutes to complete. Your path through the dungeon goes like this: 3 randomized dungeon rooms where you'll need to clear out a number of enemies before you can proceed, then a mini boss fight, followed by 3 more dungeon rooms, and finally a main boss fight as the grand finale. Each time you complete a room that isn't immediately before a boss fight, you'll open 2 portals that give you a degree of choice over what you'll encounter in your next room. I'll come back to this soon. You'll have 3 lives to make it to the end of the dungeon. Lose them all and your run is a failure. But don't fret, you still get to keep your weapons and gear you picked up during the run. So yes, there's very rogue-light feels to the Chaos Chamber. Completing Chaos Chamber runs is a great way to farm for loot once you finish the main story campaign, but it's even more important for those who are looking to min-max their gear and assemble all the pieces of a perfect character build. By successfully beating the Chaos Chamber, you'll earn Moon Orbs, an in-game currency you can spend at the Enchantment Reroller station in Brighthoof. Every time you use an enchantment reroller, you'll be offered a random replacement for the enchantment effect on your gear, or the option to keep the one you've got. By re-rolling the enchantments on your favorite pieces of gear, you can push their power even further by finding the enchantment that best synergizes with your loadout. Re-rolling won't take many Moon Orbs when you first start out, but it'll be exponentially more expensive the more times you re-roll the same item. While Moon Orbs are the in-game currency you get after Chaos Chamber runs, crystals are what are most important during the run, and you can get them a variety of ways. The most effective is smashing dice at the end of each room. How many crystals you collect impacts how many rewards you can get at the end of a Chaos Chamber dungeon, so it's crucial you snag as many crystals as you can during your run. You can collect bonus crystals by completing optional side objectives that are randomly assigned to each room, with a wide variety of possibilities. Maybe you'll protect the statue of Queen Butt Stallion before it's defaced by baddies, or smash up a statue of a villainous dragon lord, or keep a sentient fire orb burning by feeding it the souls of slain enemies. If you feel like you can't complete these and survive, you can opt to ignore them and the bonus crystals. When your run ends, any crystals you collect will vanish. So how do you use them? One way is by giving yourself powerful blessings at ornate looking altars located throughout your run. The blessings last the entire run and can be straightforward, like an increase to critical damage or movement speed, but they can also buff your passive skills. As we mentioned before, 2 portals spawn when you first beat a room, but they come in 4 different varieties. A crystal die that rewards you with more crystals, Bust Stallion's favor via a helpful blessing, a gear die that awards you new loot when you beat the encounter, and an added layer of challenge in the form of a new curse. But why would you want a curse? Curses are the polar opposite of blessings, debuffs for you or boons for your enemies that last the rest of the Chaos Chamber run and can make it that much harder for you to survive. You'll have at least an inkling of the kind of challenge they'll bring, as curses offered are marked as easy, medium, or hard. By taking on a curse, you'll be rewarded with extra crystals in exchange for the increased difficulty, and some of the easy curses might even benefit you if your build can take advantage of them. If you're a glutton for punishment, you can even spend some of your hard-earned crystals before you enter a portal to make the next encounter elite, which makes the enemies in the next room much more difficult. In return, the loot they'll drop will be improved, should you actually manage to make it through alive. Kent Rochford, the lead game designer, says, "During testing, I saw so many people playing the Chaos Chambers differently, especially in the way they treat the crystal economy. Some players just can't help themselves and want to buy all the blessings they find, others don't use the curses because they want an easier run." So what happens if you actually beat a Chaos Chamber run? Would it really be a Gearbox game if it wasn't a wealth of treasure? You're transported to the Loot of Chaos area after defeating the last boss, but for dedicated loot grinders, the real Chaos Chamber payout might be hiding in the bellies of the spined, slightly disturbing rabbit statues that line the room. Above the gaping, pointy-toothed mouth of each rabbit statue is an icon representing a type of loot in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Guns like SMGs and assault rifles, wearable gear like rings and amulets, and so on. By feeding a statue some of the crystals you've accumulated over your run, you can make it buff up a random piece of loot from its respective loot type. Kent says, "Now you can target which loot type you want without just farming the same boss over and over again for 20 hours. It's still somewhat random, but the player has some control over the kinds of loot they want to prioritize." Of course, you and your friends' stats will be available after the run, where you can see offense and defense stats, which is per weapon kills, ward damage taken, etc. Blessing and curses you took on, total crystals you collected, and more. It also includes a quick overview of your entire character build, including your 2 multi-class selections, skill points, and hero distributions, and even the rarity of the gear you brought into battle, and you can see how you rank versus the world. A little bit of bragging rights for the truly talented. So that's all I have for you today. What do you think? Are you playing with friends or solo come release? Let me know below. For everything Wonderland, Starfield, or RPG, keep it subscribed to Dantix. Ciao, friends.